Loesch-Johnson. I'm president of the Codman Square Neighborhood Council. I'm happy to see all of your faces this evening. I hope you all are managing through this pandemic and finding interesting ways to recognize Black History Month this month. We are going to jump right into the agenda because we have a lot to cover. And so I'm going to see, is Sergeant Dunford from C11 on? Because we start with our police.
I sure am, guys. Hi. Nice to see everyone again. This is my first time seeing you in 2021. And thanks for being here. I'll get right to it because Cynthia is busy. This one is a little bit older outside of catchment, but it's important. I want to make sure you know about it. It happened right in front of the courthouse at 1 Melville on December 15th at 10 in the morning. A young man, he looked like a kid. He was very small. He came out and fired a gun at 10 in the morning at someone right in front of the courthouse. So we had some help in this one. People obviously did not like this. They came forward, they worked with us. A witness said he saw the unknown male produce a firearm from his midsection and then pointed it right at somebody. We had somebody called and said there was someone behind their garage. So this was down at 74 Lyndhurst, right in the direction where the kid ran. And we went back there, we found the coat, and then we found him. He was wearing very distinctive sweatpants. It matched from the video of the courthouse, had like a checker pattern. And we had the victim who was in the car. She was the intended target's aunt. She came back and ID'd him and said that was him. So we got the right guy. Unfortunately, we didn't find the gun. He had a good amount of time to hide it. We had the dogs back there. I don't know whether someone grabbed it. We didn't get it. That's the concerning part, but nobody was hurt. I'm going to tell you about this one on January 25th at 11 p.m. at 563 Washington Street. We had a shot spotter activation. We got right up there. Several people said they hadn't heard anything. So we hung out for a while. And I'm only mentioning this because on January 5th, at like the same location at 12:40 in the morning, the exact same thing happened. So I don't know whether I've seen crazy things happen where like a dumpster is loud and sets the thing off, or maybe the device is malfunctioning, but we're going to keep an eye on that. I don't think they're real gunshots, but I want to be on top of it. Just in case you saw this one on the 31st of December at the phone store at 565 Wash. It's a very convoluted story. I read the report 3 times. I can't quite make sense of it. But an older woman went to the store to pay $700 for a video game. Now, video games cost $700 now. I thought they cost about $60 tops. So that part was strange. And then she said she left $400 and she thinks the clerk took it. And the clerk said, no, she was in another store and I'm on video. I'm sort of leaning towards this might be a mental health issue. So we might track this lady down, see if we can't connect her with some help. Christmas Eve, friends were having an argument and the argument got out of hand. The friend threw a rock through his window. So detectives worked this one. We identified who the guy was. It turns out he has 5 other warrants. Turns out he loves breaking windows. So now he's got a 6th one and we'll find him and he has to hopefully pay for that window through the court system. This one is important. I don't have too much details on it because it started with the MBTA police, but we had 3 kids. They were juveniles, they're under 18. They were following people off the train and they were doing armed robberies with a gun. So we identified them, sat them down. They admitted it was them. So I'm telling you, because this happened on Nixon Street and another one happened on Tremlett. They all began on the MBTA, so they kind of owned it. But their kids, they admitted they were involved. So hopefully, when they touch the system, we can put them into our diversion program right away and stop pushing them in another direction. And on February 1st, on Talbot Ave, a man was walking down the street and just started breaking random people's windows. And the police caught up with him. He had blood on his hands from breaking the windows. He said he was protesting persecution. I'm not sure what that means or breaking random people's windows has to do with it, but one of the neighbors who helped us out said he had one of those Ring camera phone video cameras, gave us the video, and there it is. That was him. So you've heard me say this again and again that I love video cameras on the houses. They are a good thing. They help a lot of people. They help us solve a lot of crimes. So if you're looking for something like that, strong recommendation. The other thing I want to tell you about is just outside of your area, but we have 2 to 3 young men doing robberies of people, and the motivation for the robberies is probably to hurt people, and they just happen to take the phone. But it happened over in Adams Corner. But we think they have a car, so I think they're going to pick another neighborhood at one point to start working in because we've got that one covered, and I don't want it to be yours. So when you're out and about at night, if you're by yourself, if someone makes you uncomfortable, feel free crossing the street. If you have your headphones in, I'm going to ask you not to walk around with that because it kind of closes you off from the world. You're not paying much attention to your surroundings. And the other thing is having this thing out, the cell phone, it's extremely distracting. You don't pay attention to what you're doing. And also it advertises, hey, I have something valuable on me. So please be aware of your surroundings and be careful and take care of yourselves. That's what I got.
Thank you, Sergeant Dunford. Does anyone have any questions for the C11 side?
Any update about the gentleman on Talbot Avenue that I've asked about for the last 2 months?
Yes, sir. That's actually on District 3. I've consistently referred it over to the street outreach team. It looks, if you're still seeing it, that means our efforts are not working. So what I would encourage you to do is to bring this up to the District 3 officers when they come on. It's going to need a more personalized approach to dealing with this.
And I think Officer Brewington is on. Do we want to hand it off to Officer Brewington?
Good evening, everyone. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm amazing, Cynthia. Why? Because we're named Cynthia.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. What is Rep Holmes referring to?
The gentleman living under the bridge over on Talbot Avenue.
He hasn't been there. But sometimes they are not successful. He hasn't been there in months.
My supervisor is saying that that gentleman has been removed and has not been there in probably about a month.
Okay, I'll drive by again. I thought I still saw his carriage when I drove by the other day. I'll check
His
again.
carriage may be there.
His carriage or him?
I didn't see him this time. You're right.
Because he's gone.
Okay, so what are we gonna do? Okay.
Early on in December.
My supervisor said that he was taken to a shelter.
Okay, thank you.
So he should be residing in a shelter.
I can see about getting
Alright.
the site cleaned up if we need to. I'll touch base with you, Rep, and see if we can clean up that site. Yeah.
Okay, sounds great. I'll 311 it too, just to make sure I'm not crazy.
Thank you, Flavio.
Well, I might beg to differ on, people's status of crazy, Rep Holmes.
I got you, sister, because I think you crazy too. So we went in the same place. We're good.
I'll take it. So in the last 30 days on the B3 side, there were 29 incidents in your catchment area. Not a lot to report on. Some vandalisms going on in the Southern Ave area and Whittington Street area. A couple of sick assists where people needed EMS help. And let's see. I see a good drug pinch by the plainclothes officers who initiated a traffic stop and were able to recover a substantial amount of drugs. So that's really it for the B3 side. You guys have been pretty quiet, which is a good thing.
Any questions for Officer Brewington?
Well, temperatures here in the Northeast are just kind of seasonably cold, so we're not going to get.
I have a question.
No, you don't get any questions, Juwan.
Why not?
Because you always got questions.
I'm waiting for an answer. But basically, I'm just reaching out. My name is Juwan Skeens. I'm the youth director for LaRocque, as well as the COVID community educator for the Boston Project Ministries. My question for B3 is there was a shooting on December 5th. I just wanted to know if you had any updates about that.
Bridge. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna look it up. Well, no, because it wasn't the last 30 days. I'm in the wrong screen. Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns while I research this again for Juwan?
And while you research it, we can circle back. Okay.
Anything else? Anybody else have?
No. If not, big thank you to Sergeant Dunford and Officer Brewington. We appreciate seeing your faces every month and getting the real-time updates on what's going on in the neighborhood. And just keep us posted on that December 5th incident, Officer Brewington.
Yes, and my partner Sean Harris is on, so I can't leave him out.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Moving along in the agenda, we will now hear from Michelle Cook. She's going to be talking about the Boston Farms Community Land Trust. I'll hand it off to Michelle.
Thank you, Cynthia. Greetings, everyone. I'm going to see if I can share my screen. Cynthia, do I have? Okay, great. All right. I'm hoping that everyone can see my screen.
Yes.
I'll take. Excellent. Okay. So I first want to introduce myself. My name is Michelle Cook. I am the Community Property Manager for Boston Farms Community Land Trust. We are in partnership with the Urban Farming Institute, and we're located at 487 Norfolk Street, which is the Fowler Clark Epstein Farm. I'm sure many of you all have driven past and have seen the farm site before. So I just wanted to reach out to you because my goal as a community property manager is to be very transparent with you all. I am a native of New England. I'm a Roxbury native and currently live in Dorchester. So not only do I work in this community, but I live here and I love my community immensely. So part of what we are and what we do at Boston Farms is that we turn vacant urban land into collective opportunities for farmers. And so we find urban farm sites or potential lands in neighborhoods of Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan. And then once we develop these farm sites, we make them accessible to Black and Brown farmers. And that allows them to have economic opportunities and to have farm sites available for them. We currently have 5 farm sites. We have the Astoria Farm, which is located on Flint Street in Mattapan, the Garrison Trotter Farm, located on Harold Street in Dorchester, Glenway Farms, which is located on Glenway Street in Dorchester as well, Tommy's Rock Farm, which is at Akron Street in Roxbury, and finally Westville Farms, located at 100 Westville Ave. It's currently in development. It is not a farm site, but we are working on it for this year. So I just wanted to share that with you. I also wanted to talk about some of our current farm events, because as I was saying, my goal is to get the community involved. So right now we're developing a community engagement committee, and we're currently looking to have a community residents to be a voice in what we're doing and what we're talking about. So if this is something that you're interested in, I do have my information. I will also put it in the chat, and I'll be happy to have you all reach out to me if this is something that you're interested in. It's brand spanking new, so we only literally have 2 people besides myself on that committee, so we are looking for as many folks that would be interested in it. Also, our final project that we're working on is what we call the Call to Farmers Project. And as I stated earlier, we are encouraging Black and Brown farmers that live in Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan to lease our land. So we just completed our first Call to Farmer project of Tommy's Rock. That's located in Roxbury, and we have 3 farmers that will begin using that space for commercial sites. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, I'm happy to share that with you. You can reach out to me, my contact information. My email is michelle@bostonfarms.org. Our website is www.bostonfarms.org. We're also on Facebook at Boston Farm CLT, or you just type in Boston Farm. And you can also reach me at 617-657-4440. And I'll make sure I put all of that information in the chat so you all can take that down. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to say hello. I will be attending as many meetings as I can, because again, I'm part of this community as well. So I really want to hear what you all's thoughts and ideas are and what's going on in the community. So thank you. And if you have any questions, you're free to go for it right now.
Any questions for Michelle? Thank you so much for your presentation. We definitely want to, be posted on what happens with the Black and brown farmers leasing the land, because we have farmers markets and we would love to keep it even more local than we already are, right in our own neighborhood. So that's pretty exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will now hand it off to Keshler Sanon to talk about the Dorchester Winter Farmers Market.
Hi, my name is Keshler Sanon. I am the Bulletins coordinator, and I just wanted to remind everyone that the Dorchester Winter Farmers Market is virtual this year. So the Bulletins will also be helping to distribute free food to families in need. And every week, the last day to submit your orders online for the food is Wednesday at 2 p.m. So does anyone have any questions so far? Or?
Thanks, Keshler. Yeah, in order to keep everyone safe and not have everyone indoors shopping for fresh, local, organic produce, the market is virtual, it is online, but we can get farm fresh food delivered to our doorstep. Every Thursday, food delivered to your doorstep. And that's fresh fruits, vegetables, eggs, dairy, meat, seafood. It's a pretty extensive list. And then as Keshler said, on Thursdays, we distribute food to families in need, free food. And so if you want information about that, just message him directly and he'll take down your information and get you all the details. Thank you, Keshler.
Hey, Cynthia, can he put his email in the chat so I would like to buy some food? Thanks.
Excellent. Keshler also put the Dorchester Winter Farmers Market website in the chat too. Great. We are now going to hear an update from Habitat for Humanity. I think Mary's on. We're going to jump around in the agenda just a little bit, but we'll cover everything.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Gregory. I'm from Habitat for Humanity Greater Boston. And I wanted to have just a short amount of time on the community meeting to update everyone on 2 units that we'll be opening up applications for soon. So we have 2 4-bedroom condominium units that will be starting applications for next Wednesday. So that's Wednesday the 10th. And starting on Wednesday, we'll have our housing application on our website, which is habitatboston.org/apply. And I can type that in the chat as well. But the housing application will be available to the general public on our website with instructions on how to apply and all of the requirements that we ask for when submitting an application. If you would like an email on Wednesday with the housing application rather than going to the website, we do have a form right now that you can fill out to request an application, and you'll receive an email with the housing application and all of the instructions on Wednesday. And so that's on the website as well. So that request and application form is habitatboston.org/apply. And the 2 units that we're selecting for are in the Mission Hill area of Roxbury neighborhood. So there's two units, 4 bedrooms each, and we'll be selecting for those for the next month. So there'll be a deadline of March 12th. So you have about a month to fill out the application. And then in the future, we'll also be selecting for more units, which I'll come back and update everyone on as well. And that's basically all I have. I just wanted to let everyone know of that opportunity that's coming up. And I know it's coming up shortly, but you still have time. So if you're interested in these units, please go to our website and check out our forms and check out our housing application when it is available.
Any questions for Mary?
Yeah, and I'll put in our website in our chat right now.
That's a lot of good information. Thank you for being a good neighbor and keeping us updated on all that Habitat for Humanity is doing, because you guys are really present in Codman Square, so we appreciate it.
Of course, we're happy to be here. That's for sure.
Great. If there are no questions for Mary, I have Jeff here who's itching to give us an update. On January 7th, we did a hands-only CPR training, a virtual CPR training, and Jeff wants to tell you how it went.
Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Just a quick update on the CPR training that we did a few weeks back. It was put on by Dr. Izendu. He's a cardiologist at MGH. He suffered a spontaneous cardiac arrest, and he credits his life to those who were around him who were able to give him CPR on the spot and to use the defibrillator that they had on site. So his organization called Make BLS Basic, or Basic Life Support. Basic is an initiative aimed at getting people to be aware of how to give CPR. So we did an online training. Anyone that wanted to actually received a mini Annie, which is with the little CPR dummy that you used to use to practice on. So you got a little mini Annie, and if you needed one also, you can get one that was an infant, just so that you can have one in practice and go through with everyone on the presentation. Super informative, a lot of fun, and we're hoping that we can get another one going soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, a lot of people really enjoyed the training. It was shared that oftentimes when we're in that situation, we call 911 and we wait, and we shouldn't be waiting. We should be doing something. And so hands-only CPR is something that we can do to save our community. And Dr. Uzendu went through the stats on how, depending on the neighborhood you come from, your race, honestly, if you're male or female, sometimes for females, we just don't receive CPR. And so we die on the spot. And it's something that can definitely be prevented if we were all aware of this basic life-saving skill. So thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Moving along in the agenda, we'll now hear from the Department of Children and Families. I think Ms. Sanderson's on with her colleague, Jackie.
Hello, hi everyone, good evening. Thank you, Cynthia, for inviting us again. Really appreciate it. So Jackie and I, we are from the Department of Children and Families, and we're here to talk a little bit about fostering. We are here because there's just a great need in the community, especially Dorchester, Mattapan, Roxbury, for foster parents. And we would definitely like to keep our children that are coming into care in their community. So we have a great need for foster care. Jackie posted in the chat our information. We do hold monthly information session, and anyone who would like to learn about foster care, it's every Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And again, we really have a great need for foster parents in the community, especially during these times. So if anyone, would like to open their heart and their home to our children in the community, please, feel free to attend one of our info session. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any questions?
We're always looking for opportunities to reach out to the community. So if there's any virtual events coming up or community events that we can be a part of and spread the word, please let us know. We would love to be a part of those also. Thank you.
Any questions for them? If not, we will now hand it off to Megan and Juwan. They're going to be talking about COVID prevention and education.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Meg, and I'm here with Juwan. We are working with the Boston Project to share some COVID-19 information. And so if I could get hosting ability so I could share my screen, that'd be great, thanks. And so I'll be monitoring the presentation, and Juwan will be sharing, and we'll be focusing on COVID-19 prevention.
And we'll try to make it as fun and educational as possible, everybody, okay? All right, COVID-19 information and resources is the title of our presentation. Can win is our hashtag. And this is our team, myself, Juwan, Danny, my colleague, and so is Megan Malkemes. All right, and with the information that we're about to introduce today, we hope not to overwhelm you, but is that your screen, Meg? Hold on.
I think we're focusing mostly on prevention tonight, so I'm just going to go to the prevention information.
Okay, all right. So I guess this is what we're gonna start with. As far as like safety for masks, we want to talk about masks and making sure that everyone layers up when it comes to their mask. The thinner the layer the mask, the more susceptible it is for COVID to come through the mask. So it's important that you definitely, if you can, wear at least a mask with 2 layers or double mask up if possible. And this is just the Swiss cheese example to show you how it would flow. All right, and these are examples of mask effectiveness. And like I said, the double layer is 98.6% effective. Triple layer would be 99.98% effective. And then you have the medical grade mask that we definitely encourage our nurses and doctors to use on a regular basis. All right, and definitely I want to make sure everyone pays attention to the Massachusetts travel form. If you are looking to come back out of state into Massachusetts, they do require that there is a 10-day observance of quarantine and you provide a negative COVID test at least 72 hours prior to your arrival. And failure to comply with this can result in a $500 fine for every day that this is not completed. All right. And definitely, like we said, wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask. That is the most important thing. Stay 6 feet away from everybody. Sanitize as much as possible. You know, definitely if you see, you can see how to wear a mask properly inside of this presentation. You definitely want to cover your mouth, your nose, put it over your ears so that way you can make yourself as safe as possible. And N95 masks are definitely helpful. I'm sure most people around see neck gaiters, bandanas, and other, you know, very thin face coverings that are sold inside of our stores. They are very nice to have, but they aren't that helpful at protecting us against COVID. Definitely, you want to make sure that you're using that double layer. If you are going to wear a visor as well, make sure that you wear a mask underneath the visor to make sure you have that double layer of protection. All right. And we just want to keep encouraging everybody to remain 6 feet social distancing. It's definitely important that, you know, you limit as much contact that you come into, you limit as much contact every day, remain with the people within your household. All right, stay home, stay home, stay home. We can't say that more than enough. We want to make sure that everybody utilizes, you know, getting your food delivered to you if you can. Zoom and FaceTime other people to stay social as much as possible, but please stay home and keep everyone safe. All right, and just a few personal prevention methods for everybody. Wash your hands frequently. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. Stay 6 feet away from everybody. Stay home when you are sick and leave the house if necessary. Cover that cough and sneeze with a tissue or with your arm. Please do not sneeze into your hands. Clean and disinfect as much as possible. And wear a mask when you go out in public, everybody. All right, and that is our COVID presentation. I'm gonna hand it over to Megan for Q&A.
Yeah, no, and we don't want to take up too much of you guys' time, but if there's any immediate questions, we can try to answer some. And I'll also type our contact info into the chat if anyone wants to email us with any questions.
Any questions for them? I want to thank you all for taking the time to present to us this evening. I don't know about you, but I am always impressed when young people are willing to come to community meetings and share all the positive things they're doing in the neighborhood. So between you two and Keshler, we have a lot of young people doing great things in the neighborhood. So thank you so much for keeping our community safe.
Thank you,
We appreciate
Cynthia.
you. Great. And if you guys have questions, feel free to use the chat. And the chat's very busy, so make sure you guys are paying attention to what's going on in there. Moving along in the agenda, we are now going to talk about community choice electricity. We keep hearing about this. We're receiving letters in the mail. It's just the talk of the town. I think Aidan Smith is going to walk us through exactly what's going on with community choice electricity.
Let me I have a few slides that I wanted to share. Will I be able to present those?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, so thank you for inviting me to speak with you all this evening. I'll pull up my slides. Okay. Can you see those slides?
Yes.
So yes, thank you again. My name is Aidan Smith. I'm coming to you from the City of Boston's Environment Department, and I'm the outreach coordinator for the Community Choice Electricity Program. So I wanted to start with what is Community Choice Electricity, or CCE as it's commonly abbreviated. It's a new electricity supply option for Boston's residents and businesses. And it represents a monumental shift in how electricity is supplied in Boston. I want you to all keep in mind that there are two aspects to providing electricity. There's the electricity itself, or the supply of the electricity, and then there's the delivery of the electricity. And the city's program, it only deals with the electricity supply portion. It does not touch the electricity delivery. Delivery remains Eversource's responsibility, as they are the local utility for Boston. So in the leftmost part of this diagram, what I'm showing is that up until recently, electric customers had two places where they could get their electricity supply from. You could get it from Eversource through what's called basic service, or you could sign a contract with a private third-party electricity supplier. That electricity would then flow through Eversource because they are, again, the local utility, and they have the poles and wires, and then it would get to you, the customer. But as of February 1st, this past Monday, you now have a third option, and that's the City of Boston's Community Choice Electricity Program, as shown in yellow. And the CC program, what it does is it selects an electric supplier to provide electricity to the CC program's customers. And so that's at a fundamental level what's changing. You now have the option of going with the City of Boston for your electricity supply. So the primary motivation for launching a municipal program like Community Choice Electricity is that it allows us to harness our collective buying power when buying electricity. I'll also add that while Boston's program is now the largest of its kind in New England, it's definitely not the first. There are over 150 similar programs throughout the Commonwealth that are either running or in the process of being implemented. And these programs are a common strategy for municipalities because they allow us to negotiate favorable electric contracts and deals for residents and businesses. And so this is ultimately the aim of the City of Boston's program as well. The program seeks to leverage our buying power to negotiate favorable electric contracts and really is looking to provide the most affordable and renewable electricity possible. On this slide, I've included a disclaimer. The Department of Public Utilities does require that we state clearly that we cannot guarantee savings through the program. Eversource's basic service rates change twice a year or more. They change on January 1st and July 1st of every year. And because we can't know what those future rates are going to be, we can't promise or guarantee savings to customers. So here are 6 key things to know about the CCE program. I've spoken about the first one already. Again, the program is about our collective buying power and using that in the energy marketplace. Second, you need to be a resident or business based in Boston and hold an electric account in your name to participate in the program. Third, the program, another aspect of the program, another reason why a lot of municipalities pursue these programs is because it brings our energy decision making to the local municipal level. And that provides greater accountability, transparency, and control over our energy future. Fourth, this is an opt-out program, and that's mandated by state statute. What this means is that if you're an Eversource basic service customer, you will be automatically enrolled in the program unless you choose to opt out of the program. Essentially, the program will serve as the new default electric supply option for customers in Boston. And it's the opt-out process that, in essence, makes it the default option. The default was previously basic service through Eversource, but now if you take no action on your electric account, you become enrolled in the program. The fifth point here is that while the program is opt-out, customers are free to leave or join the program at any time without penalty. The city has signed a contract with a supplier, but you as a participant of the program have not. You simply get to benefit from the program without any strings attached or any of those sort of, people often, when they think about electric suppliers, they are thinking about those, residential contracts that you sign when someone, a marketer comes to your door. This is fundamentally different than that because you're not signing a contract. And finally, the program is guided by a set of principles. These include supporting local renewable electricity and negotiating affordable, stable electric rates, as well as committing to environmental justice and strengthening consumer protection. And these 6 principles are the key pillars of the program and are what guide the city's decision-making when it's making energy procurement decisions. On this slide, I want to show just the 3 products that the program is currently offering to participating residents and businesses. Highlighted in the middle is the default or standard product. And with this product, I'm showing just the rate that customers would pay, about 11.4 cents per kilowatt hour. And you receive 28% renewable electricity. And this is the product that if you are automatically enrolled in the program, this is what you're placed on. On either end, on either side of this, we also have 2 optional products. So on the left, we have the optional basic product. It's a little cheaper, but you receive less renewable electricity. And this is the option for people who really are looking to save money. On the other side, we have the optional Green 100 product. And this is the premium product. You pay more, but you also receive 100% renewable electricity. And here, what I'm showing is a comparison between our standard product, again, that's the default product for the program, and Eversource's basic service rates for residential customers. And so essentially what you can see is with CCE, you get more renewables for a cheaper price. And but what I want to point out here, and this is again going back to the idea of we can't guarantee savings, is that this is a price comparison for February through June of this year. February again was when the program started. Again, that's because on July 1st, Eversource's rates are going to change. I can't provide you a price comparison after June 30th because we don't know what the July 1st rates are going to be for Eversource. But one thing we want to make clear is that there are going to likely be periods when the program may be slightly above Eversource. There are going to be times when it's below Eversource, as is the case for the current period. And we really want people to think about, what is happening long term, because we think that the program is going to perform really well relative to Eversource in terms of the cost to customers. And not only that, but we believe this program will allow us to provide more renewable electricity to customers. So, that's all that's all the new stuff. That's what changes. Here on this slide, I wanted to point out a few things that won't change. So first, if you rely on a program or plan or some form of assistance, that doesn't change under CCE. If you will continue to benefit if you get low income discounts, Maybe you have a budget billing plan with Eversource. Maybe you own solar panels and you benefit from net metering. Or we know some people are participating in what are called green power supply programs. None of that is affected by the program. In addition, your relationship with Eversource doesn't fundamentally change. Again, they're still the local utility for Boston. They'll continue to bill you. You'll only get one bill. They'll provide customer service. They'll maintain the grid. If the power goes out, you still call them. They're still the entity that delivers electricity. And then on the slide, I'm also showing an example of what an Eversource bill would look like for a customer of the CCE program. So what you would see is Constellation New Energy. They're the supplier that won the city's competitive bidding process. They would be listed on the bill for the next 10 months. That's the length of the contract. And you'll see billing for City of Boston, CCE. And so if and when the city selects a different supplier to serve the program, that supplier's name would be listed on the bill, but the billing for City of Boston, CCE, that will always be there. And that's how you know you're part of the program. And finally, in accordance with DPU regulations, the city held an opt-out period for the program that ran from December 4th of last year through January 11th of this year. And we mailed out notification letters to eligible customers. And if you signed and returned the opt-out reply card, that means you left the CCE program. If you instead took no action and did not return the reply card, then you will be placed on the standard product. And again, this is only for people who received that notification letter. There are customers who didn't receive that notification letter because they have a different, maybe they signed a contract with a third party or something, and we didn't mail to those folks. So not everybody got the notification, but eligible customers for the program did. And while the opt-out period has concluded, as I mentioned, people are free to join or leave the program at any time or change their enrollment status if they wanted one of those optional products instead. You can make any of these changes at any time without penalty. And so two ways to do that are to call Constellation at the number listed, 833-930-3161. Again, they're the electric supplier for the program. Or you can visit the city's website, which is boston.gov/community choice electricity. And on that website, there's a link to an online opt-in, opt-out form, as well as all of the information that one might need, the phone number, and that's really the main resource. I want to point out that we are going to be hosting virtual office hours this month. You can access those through the website. Myself and some of my teammates will be there, and we'll be answering questions for folks. We also have a cost calculator on the website. So if you really want to see the dollar amount difference between the different products or between the program and Eversource, you can put in your average household electricity consumption and see what it would mean for you in actual dollars and cents. So that's available through the website as a tool. And finally, we just really encourage you to get your neighbors, friends, and family to opt up to 100% if they're in a financial position to do so. We know these are tough times, so but if people are able to, that's great. And lastly, just a reminder, in March, if you are participating in the program, you can expect to start seeing Constellation New Energy and billing for City of Boston CCE appearing on your bills. So thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Aidan. I think you have questions in the chat.
Okay, I'll take a look. I'm just going to stop sharing real quick. Okay, I think. Okay, so the first question I see is this the program that the city has outsourced to another company? Yes, as I mentioned, these programs all work in essence by the city puts together a contract, puts that contract out to bid, and then we have bidders that bid on whether on the for the right to supply the program's customers. So Constellation New Energy is that company. Obviously, the city doesn't have its own generation, energy generation facilities. So that's how it works. And that's the same way that Eversource does it. They go out to bid twice a year into the energy market and procure electricity that way. So yep, that's correct. What drives the price changes? I'm not sure what that, maybe DT, maybe if you could specify what you mean by price changes. The program's prices will only change once a new contract is signed by the city. So our rates don't change for the duration of the contract, which is 10 months. We'll be announcing new rates when we've gone out to bid and we have a new company that's been selected. Eversource's rates change twice a year. That's always how it's been done. I think that might be mandated. Yeah. So okay, I'm seeing. Yeah, so the program's rates will fluctuate relative. That difference between Eversource's rates and the program's rates will just change based on whether Eversource's rates go up or down, or when the program goes out and gets a new contract. So that's what drives the changes in the price. But Eversource has to go out twice a year to get 6 months of electricity for its customers. There's a comment about the opt-out period seems short. That's also, we follow the Department of Public Utilities. They require, I think, somewhere around 36 days. I think we gave 39, but it's about a month plus 3 days for mailing. And again, just to point out, the opt-out period is just a process to kickstart the program. But again, people are free to opt out at any time without penalty. So there's no commitment there. Okay, I have a question here. How can we find out if we're not eligible for the program? When will the change show on the Eversource bill? So I spoke a little bit about to when you could expect to see a change on your bill. I would look at your bill in March, because even though the program has started officially on February 1st, if you are part of the program, when your meter is read this month, that will mark the point where if you are participating in the program will start supplying your electricity from that point onward. And the way billing is done, it's always after the fact. So your March bill will actually be for your February electricity usage. And so that's when you would start seeing a change on your bill. We do have a part of our website, and I can drop it in there, where we're trying to get folks to take a look at their bill to figure out whether they are on a contract with a third-party supplier. Not everyone knows if they are or not, because it's, again, just you still get the same bill from Eversource, but if you did sign a contract, it will be shown on your bill. And like I said, that's one of the reasons you may or may not have gotten a notification letter. If you signed a contract with a third party, you can join the program, but you would not have been mailed a notification letter by the city of Boston. You have to take affirmative action to join the program. There's a few other reasons why you might not have been mailed notifications. Some people put blocks on their accounts with Eversource, which would also, bar us from notifying you of the program. So There's a variety of reasons, but I would look at your bill in March, and I'll drop a link into the chat where you can, that helps people understand like where in the bill to look to see who their supplier is.
And Aidan, you have time for one last question.
Okay. Okay, the electricity that Eversource provides. Okay. Okay, I see a question. I think you mentioned equity or something. I like that as a value for the program. How does that work? How does that work / is designed or factored into the program? That's a great question. You know, some of these principles are harder to achieve than others. I think we're focused on affordability and renewable electricity and stable electric rates right now. We do have some plans for the future that really get at that equity piece. Right now, we're achieving that through keeping rates low, but the program's going to evolve over time. We have certain things we're thinking about that are still being worked through the Department of Public Utilities. So I can't really speak to those more than that. But yeah, the program can go different places in the future, and we can be more targeted now that we actually have a relationship with electric customers in Boston. That helps us you know, push forward different goals and reach people who need more assistance or so it's a little bit less clear than some other things, but that's definitely something we're going to work on.
Thank you so much for your presentation and for answering all those questions. I encourage you all to continue the conversation in the chat. Aidan will respond if you message him directly, or respond to everyone if that's helpful for everyone. And just stay tuned. I'm sure that we'll be hearing a lot more. You're going to have virtual sessions to answer additional questions and keep us up to date. So thank you so much for your presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Moving along in the agenda, we will now hear from, I think is Regina going to be speaking? We're going to be talking about Climate Code Blue.
Well, I wasn't going to talk about Climate Code Blue, but I am from Climate Code Blue. So Cynthia, thanks for having me, and to the whole group. I'm Regina LaRocque. I am a doctor, and I'm a member of Climate Code Blue, and we've been partnering with you guys for some months now on issues related to health and the environment. And so you've met Karen Solomon and Jim Recht, who are my friends and fellow members of Climate Code Blue. And since I'm an infectious disease doctor, I thought it might be appropriate to just reach out and offer myself to the group as a resource and make myself available for conversation and questions about the COVID vaccine. So I know you've given me 10 or 15 minutes on the topic tonight. So I first want to say that I'd be happy to talk again at a later time if it would be helpful. But for tonight, I was just going to say a few words about the vaccine because I know it's on a lot of people's minds, and I can answer a few questions. And I won't go, you know, beyond 10 or 15 minutes since I know you have a lot on your agenda. I think this is a topic that lots of people are thinking about right now because we've all been, you know, struggling for the last year with the pandemic and the amount of disease and suffering that it's caused in all of our communities. So the vaccines, which are now being rolled out, are really a new and important moment because we have another tool in the toolkit. Meg and Juwan did a great job actually going over the approaches that we have had available to date to help deal with COVID. And so the vaccines are kind of one more addition to those tools. I've been talking to a few different community groups, and maybe I'll just give you guys the thumbnail of the kinds of questions that I've heard and talked about to others. So I'm an infectious disease doctor, so I take care of patients with infections, patients with COVID. I've given vaccines in my clinical practice for 15, 20 years, so I'm quite familiar with the questions and concerns people have around vaccines in general. with regard to these vaccines, I think there's a couple of high-level points to emphasize. One is that these vaccines have gone through the same type of safety review and regulatory oversight and careful consideration by panels of doctors and scientists before they have been released for use. So even though the development certainly was, occurring appropriately with pressure and speed, it was done in the same way that any other vaccine process has been done in the United States. So we consider the vaccines to have met the safety and effectiveness standards that we wanted them to meet before they would be released for public use. So tens of thousands of people received the vaccines in the studies, and now subsequently, millions of people have received these vaccines. We've been watching people very carefully for any additional side effects that might be emerging as more people are being vaccinated. And you've probably heard that it has become clear that very rarely some people can have allergic reactions to the vaccine. That is why people are observed for 15 minutes after receiving a vaccine. And but these are rare allergic events. It's important to understand, we give a lot of medicines intravenously, antibiotics and other things that have much, much higher rates of allergic reactions than the rates that are being seen here. So it's a small number, but something that people have to be observed for carefully. The vaccines are given in 2 doses, the ones that are currently available, and they have to be stored and transported under very cold conditions. So there are some special logistical concerns around the vaccines. And that, I think, has been part of what you've seen as the rollout has happened. There's some complexity in getting them out to all types of settings. Not every place is able to manage the very cold storage that is needed. And then I think one other just really important point to make is that we don't know yet if the vaccine, we certainly are hopeful that the vaccines, which we know are about 94 to 95% effective in the studies at preventing severe COVID. We don't know yet if they are going to be effective at blocking the spread of the virus between people. We certainly anticipate and hope that they will, but we don't know that yet for sure. So that's why it's clear that everybody needs to continue to wear masks and do the physical distancing even after receiving the vaccine. That's the public health recommendation for right now. So I think, there's a lot of things that people have to consider. This pandemic has really, it's been hard for a lot of people. And I think that there's a lot of questions and concerns about the vaccine, and these are very understandable. And so I think now is the time that a lot of people have questions and are thinking about this as it's becoming available to people beyond just those in the healthcare community. So I've had the vaccine. I definitely had a sore arm with the first dose. And after the second dose, I felt chills and a little achy. And so there are side effects that occur in some people with the vaccine. They are short-lived, but they do happen. And they're on the lines of, we see side effects with all vaccines in terms of sore arm. But I'd say that some of the reactions with the second dose, people can feel a little bit crummy for 24 hours or so. So that's something that people need to be aware of. So since it's a short time, I'll stop and I'll just ask if it would be helpful to ask any questions, and then I also just will point out, there's lots of information now becoming more available on the Mass DPH website and the CDC website, and it's good to go for trusted sources of information like that. So does anybody have a question, or I have the chat over here.
Any questions?
I have a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So I was exposed, someone that I know actually was in my house on Sunday that he was tested positive. She was tested positive on, actually, she got her results back today. I got my vaccine on Monday, and I wanted to know, I don't have any symptoms. I don't feel sick in any ways, except for the sore arm. But I just want to know, I don't know, is there anything I should be looking up for as far as symptoms, or will the vaccine protect me in any ways? I was just curious as to how that works.
Yeah. So at the point of having had one vaccine, you really don't have, and I would say you don't have any protection. And so you should be considering yourself as having been exposed to COVID. So that means you should be in quarantine and you should be getting tested. So I would basically ignore the fact that you had the vaccine as a factor at all right now.
Okay, I did. I got tested today.
Perfect. Yeah. I think that I'm sorry that happened. That's difficult.
Yeah, thank you.
Have people here, has anybody else had the vaccine or been able to be in the category of people who would be eligible for it yet?
I've had the first one.
How did you do with did you have a sore arm or any other symptoms?
Just a sore arm for about 4 or 5 days. And I also tested positive back in March.
You did? Yeah. So the recommendation is to receive the vaccine, even if you've had a history of the disease, as long as it's more than 90 days ago, I think is the recommendation. So that matches with what you described. So I know there was a prioritization of frontline responders and firefighters, and that's good.
And I actually took my mother yesterday to get her vaccine shot, which I was a little worried about because she has diabetes. She's had a heart attack before. She's got high blood pressure. You name it, she's got it. But she got the vaccine and she's been fine.
That's great. Yeah, and it's important for her to get the vaccine actually just for those very same reasons. We've just seen that people with some of those risk factors have been so prone to having severe disease when they get COVID. So that's why protecting people like your mom with all the strategies we have available is really important. So that's good to hear. And this really is just one more tool in the toolkit. I mean, we need to be using every tool we have against this. And so I think, those of us who've been taking care of patients for this past year are so hopeful that now, as we have this extra ability to get people protected with their own immune responses, that we're hopefully going to see some better control over the situation.
I want to thank all of you for sharing your personal experiences with all of us. I think, for those that are hesitant to get the vaccine and, unsure about a lot of things, it's just nice to hear from people that we know that are experiencing it and what their experiences are to bring some comfort as to what the next steps might be. Any other questions for Regina? Thank you for your willingness to talk to us. Not everyone takes time out of their day to speak to a community group and give us the inside scoop on the vaccine. We appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure. And I think that it matters so much that I'm willing to do this, to talk to a lot of people about it. And also, I'm so impressed with your organization. And it was actually a pleasure to listen to you work over the last hour. So thank you for having me.
Have a great night. Moving along in the agenda, we will now hear from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Roudnie?
Hi, Cynthia. Thank you. So I put some information in the chat. I won't be too long. I put my contact information in there, and I also included information on the COVID vaccine. So starting from, Monday, February 1st, everyone who's 75 years or older are eligible to receive the vaccine. And the city of Boston has 2 mass vaccine sites. One of them is at the Reggie Lewis Center, and the other one is at Fenway Park. In the chat, I already put the link for you to be able to access it and schedule your appointment. Now, we don't anticipate it to be easy for you just because of volume and the way the site is designed, I think. But the program just rolled out, so we hope that, people are going to be patient. It rolled out a couple of days ago. The more time goes by, the better the program will get. And so 75 years old or older, you're eligible to receive the vaccine. And should you really be like completely alone and not know how to do any of this, call 311 from your cell phone, ask for the H-Strong Commission, and they will be able to assist you through this. I've also included the numbers for today, as of today, for COVID. We're at 54,000 plus people who have had this virus. So the third prong of my updates in there is the COVID testing map. Again, you can use any address in the city of Boston to find out the closest site to you. We also have the Senior Safe program, where senior homeowners can get up to $8,000 to fix their heaters. It's been very cold lately. You want to make use of that. I put the phone number and also the website for that. And the last one that I have here for you is about the financial navigator with the Office of Financial Empowerment. Basically, they give you a 30-minute consultation on how you're doing right now with your finances, and they push you forward to different referrals. Are you eligible for our rental relief program? That's a program that we have that gives you up to $10,000 for assistance. Are you a business owner? Do you need support from the small business department? Things of the sort. So that information is already in the chat for you. And don't forget to email me if you have not been getting any updates from me, so that I can make sure I add you to my list. And I will close with, yes, I am your liaison to Mayor Walsh for Mattapan, Dorchester, and the Haitian community citywide. We're sad to see him go, but very, very happy very, very happy for him for this promotion to the labor secretary for the whole country. That's amazing, and we're very, very proud of him. And so I don't know exactly when he will be leaving, but as you heard, he was confirmed. I can't tell you the exact date when he will, not show up to City Hall anymore. But again, we wish him the very best. Are there any pressing questions for me? Those are my updates. I don't want to keep too long. Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, Roudnie. Any questions for Roudnie? Always so detailed and thorough. We appreciate it. And all the links are in the chat, so you guys can always scroll and see those. If there are no questions, I will now hand it off to State Representative Russell Holmes to share his updates.
Thank you, Cynthia. Let me go on camera. Give me just a moment. So I'm going to begin with what everyone has been talking about tonight, and that is around COVID. Similar to what Roudnie had just talked about, obviously the state also has our website. And I can just tell you, we have, as the state reps and state senators, have really been disappointed with some of the rollout. I can tell you that we, as the legislature, have been pleased with some of the ideas around we should take care of the people who take care of us first. And so the thought around what other states have done, which is they just began with age and had age be the decider for how people start to get vaccinated. We did agree with the governor and his team that we should be doing doctors, first responders, and the like to ensure that the people who take care of us should be the first people who get taken care of. But then it really has felt like a very botched rollout, particularly as we started to get beyond those first responders and congregate care, senior places. And I can tell you, we also fought very hard to have the inmates in prisons vaccinated, but did not get the response we really wanted from them with the amount of people who were vaccinated. So I can tell you over the last week, things have improved just on the website, where at least now you can go in and put in your zip code and you can find the local places and see what's available versus before. Literally, I remember when I did it a week and a half ago or so, it literally felt like 7 or 8 clicks before I finally got to a place where I could actually start the process of figuring out where my location was. And so now at least there's 1 or 2 clicks away, and you can now just put your zip code in. Clearly, as Roudnie just talked about and others talked about, we've gotten to 75 and over, And I just think that if you know someone who's 75 and older and struggling, give me a call. I will try my best to see what I can do to make sure you get on the list, because it's kind of difficult for many folks who are 75 and older to get through the whole navigation. And so just give the office a call, which is 617-722-2220. Devin will be certainly attentive and see if we can get more assistance to you. I know I asked Cynthia to go call out with the senior tree this weekend, and I think we probably got 40 or 50 people amongst different lists to get on a call list to actually get a phone call back and actually get it arranged, and that has gone well. We did get some delays because of the snowstorm on Monday and Tuesday that some people had to be rescheduled, but I think they're getting back to that backlog now. I think overall, I can just tell you when I hear Roudnie say, obviously Marty's going to, I think he testifies tomorrow, and we are looking for him to be appointed sometime the next week or two. The thing that stands out for me most in that conversation is I feel better as a state legislator than I have in a long time, simply because of the fact that I think about not just the last year, but we've gone through obviously a pandemic we had not seen in 100 years, but quite frankly, I think probably the worst administration in the history of this country. And so to be at a place where we're actually hiring people and placing people in positions that not because they're my friend or because they're rich or because they're my children, but actually some of the most competent people that we can have in roles really helps me even sleep at night, because of the fact that I just felt like for quite some time, a lot of pressure has been on the state and what we were making for decisions, because decisions were being made, from my perspective, very poorly at the federal level. And so now, even with the COVID rollout, to now have an administration that is truly focused on us having a plan and not trying to keep themselves elected, and which distracted on many things, I think all of us, from the governor, the reps and senators, all of us at the state level are feeling better. And as Marty rolls into his role, we're hoping he's going to obviously go through the process and be nominated. That whole city process and that transition has been something I want to focus on just for a moment. Two things on the city. One is I have been fighting hard, and thankfully we got it passed today at the city level, that I think it is very bad for the city to make a decision to have a special election when Marty leaves. And so thankfully, after much debate here at the city did pass, or the council did pass 12-0, one abstain. Councilor Sarver George did not vote, but 12-0 to now send to the state legislature the home rule petition that will now have it so that all of us are not having the possibility of having Marty now, Kim when Marty leaves, a special election, a new mayor, and then an election in the fall, for many, many reasons. For the reasons that all of us should not have to go out and have multiple votes and put ourselves at risk, but also a full vetting, I think, of the candidates who are going to run in the fall would make a lot more sense, particularly for communities of color, who I think would be, those with language barriers and things of that nature would be tremendously disadvantaged. But we have gotten to a place that I'm hoping that next week, the Boston delegation, that is the state reps and the state senators, will meet next week to come to an agreement that we agree, I'm pretty sure most of us do agree, that moving an election into the fall and then having us all vote in the fall and then have a new mayor. There was some debate of whether or not that's going to happen in November or January. I'm sure they figured that out today as well. But a new mayor for the new term really makes sense, I think, for all of us. And so to Roudnie's point, congratulations to the mayor as he potentially moves on, but I think it's just much better for our city to roll this out in a much nicer way. The other thing about the city that has been frustrating here lately has been the amount of phone calls I have received around the tax bills. And so we have been recently assessed, our properties have been recently assessed, and I've heard from quite a few seniors who find this new assessment very, very expensive. And I can tell you, every assessment, Devin and I, we've gotten the phone calls, every assessment that we have gotten someone will send in, or they'll let us know what, we'll go online and we'll look at what their tax bill is. And then I would ask Devin and I would go on and say, well, let's see what this house Zillow's at. And the house, the assessment would be 800,000. Then I was Zillow, and like one of them was like 1.1 million. There was this major push over this on Monday to try to get a lot of abatements in to see if we can save, particularly seniors, tax on these taxes. I can tell you, some of your new state reps, Brandy Fluker Oakley has an idea around trying to make sure that we get more savings for seniors and people who've lived in their homes. But we hear you loud and clear. The tax bill is high. I talked to the assessment department and went through it in great detail for those who are curious why did it jump so much. They did send me a spreadsheet that you can get online. All of us can get. I can tell you the path on how to get there. But essentially, the assessments are done from the 2019 sales. So as homes sold in 2019, they then go through a process internally with the city by the size of our houses and things of that nature. And some of these houses moved up from the last assessment more than sometimes $250,000. And so we feel your pain. At least I feel your pain at the state level as well. And it would be good to just try to figure out, as we have this conversation about our next mayor, I think that needs to be certainly part of the process of how do we still provide some relief for seniors. Sorry for being that long, but I'll take any questions that people have.
That was a lot of information. Any questions for the state rep? I personally want to thank you for taking time to be the point of contact for all of these seniors that are interested in the vaccine. I know it's probably very time consuming to receive all the lists of names that we're sending you, but they're grateful because you're creating a resource where they can actually be picked up from their home, taken to the site, receive the vaccine, and you're making it so seamless, the way that they're being contacted, and they're comfortable with your approach. So thank you.
Well, can I just add that I have had many, many conversations with seniors, and some of them have been long, because I understand the hesitancy in our communities around vaccinations. And so I've been trying my best to just talk to people about the vaccine, because we're beating up, the Black and Latino caucus, we're beating up on the governor about the fact that not enough Black people and Latinos are being vaccinated. And of course, his team pushes back and say the amount of resistance for folks in our communities to not want to take the vaccine. So I personally was calling on an awful lot of people myself just to try to make folks feel more comfortable, because they're going to hear it from a trusted person that they see. But I thank you, Cynthia, for also having your folks call, because many folks in our community want to hear from someone that they trust. Particularly, we don't want to be scammed and things of that nature. So thank you for being one of those resources that made that possible. I really do appreciate it. And then next month, let's try to talk about the 2 marijuana places. I did talk to both of them, and I think it's just very, very important for them to get on your schedule at some point to have that robust conversation as well.
I agree. If there are no questions for Rep. Holmes, we will move on to announcements. Does anyone have any pressing announcements they want to share? Hold on, I have some. So you guys heard from Keshler, the Dorchester Winter Farmers Market. It's virtual this year. You can have farm fresh food delivered to your home. Make sure you visit the website. And if you know of any families that need assistance, you can make sure that you reach out to Keshler, and he'll tell them where to go on Thursday to receive farm fresh food. Also a quick note, the Winter Farmers Market also accepts SNAP and EBT. So if you know anyone who has those benefits, feel free to direct them to the Dorchester Winter Farmers Market. Don't mind JJ in the background. Rich asked me to share that the Center for Community Wellness is presenting another health session, and this one will be on heart disease. That'll be on Thursday, February 4th. I'll put a link in the chat, and the link will take you to all of the Zoom information. Heart disease is a major health inequity in our community. It's no surprise. We have a lot of tobacco being sold in our community and a lot of fast food establishments in our community. And these things impact our health, our heart health. So if you're interested in learning more about that, make sure you participate. And you guys know we meet the first Wednesday of the month, 7 to 8:30 p.m., same time, same place. Any other announcements? If not, we can close the meeting. I'm just going to put that link in the chat for you all. I appreciate all of your time and attention. I will see you next month. Have a good night.